This video will review simplifying rational expressions. In the first expression, we have 6x minus 9 divided by 2x minus 3. So the first thing we want to do when we simplify rational expressions is factor. And in the case of question 1 here, we can factor a common number from 6x and negative 9. In this case, we can pull out a 3, because 3 goes into 6 and 3 goes into 9. When we factor out this 3, we divide. So what's 6x divided by 3? 2x. And what's 9 divided by 3? 3. And we leave the minus in front. First step was factor, and all we could do is factor the numerator. Nothing goes into the denominator, 2x and 3. Nothing divides 2 that divides 3, except 1, but that won't change anything. So we've got our factoring done. Our next step is to create restrictions. In fact, find out what they are. They're not really created so much as determined by what's in the denominator. Our restrictions are whatever makes this denominator 0 is not allowed. In other words, we can't have it so the denominator, not looking at the numerator, it's the same, but I care about the denominator, and that denominator, 2x minus 3, cannot equal 0. So I'm going to solve this inequality, that is, I'm going to figure out what x cannot equal, because I know 2x minus 3 cannot equal 0. Let's add 3 both sides, so that I get 2x cannot equal 3. Aha! If I just divide by 2, I'll see that x cannot equal 3 over 2. And that's my restriction. X cannot equal 3 over 2. Now I can proceed back to my question. We factored first step. The second step, find the restrictions. The third step, simplify. And in this case, we can simplify 2x minus 3 over 2x minus 3. It's like this one is in brackets. And since it's in brackets, we can cancel out these two numbers. And the last step is just to state our final answer, which is 3. Even though we know the answer is 3, we're still going to state our restrictions every time. That's part of the last step. Give me your final answer, please. It's 3. And tell me the restrictions. No matter what, we still say x cannot be whatever our restrictions are, in this case, 3 over 2. Question 2, we're going to factor first as well. We have x squared minus 5x plus 6 over x squared plus 3x minus 10. When we go to factor, though, we're going to have to do some work on the side here. So for x squared minus 5x plus 6, we're looking for what multiplies to 6 and adds to negative 5. If you're not sure the work I'm doing here, I'd recommend watching the video on factoring using Bergman technique. We're trying to find something that multiplies to 6 and adds to negative 5. So what two numbers multiply to 6? 2 and 3, but they add to positive 5. However, if I made them both negative, negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6, and negative 2 plus negative 3 is negative 5. We've got our numbers. So we can go back and replace the numerator with x minus 2 and x minus 3. First step is factoring. We factored the numerator, but we're also going to have to factor the denominator. The denominator is x squared plus 3x minus 10. So we're looking for what multiplies to negative 10 and adds to 3. What multiplies to 10? 2 and 5 will work. But we've got one problem. 2 times 5 is positive 10, and we need it to be negative 10. So we need to make one of these negative. And we need to make the one negative so it adds to a positive number. That means we need to pick negative 2, because negative 2 times 5 is negative 10, but when you add negative 2 and 5, you get positive 3. So we can replace the denominator with x minus 2 times x plus 5. Step 1, done. That's factoring. Step 2, record the restrictions. Our restrictions are the denominators, whatever's in the denominators that would make it 0. In this case, if we subbed in 0, that'd be fine. 0 take away 2 is negative 2, 0 plus 5 is 5. The denominator is okay. But if we subbed in 2 here, we'd get 0 on the bottom, because 2 take away 2 is 0, and that's bad news. So we know x cannot equal 2. We could do our work like we did in the previous question and set it not equal to 0, or we can just look at it. Subbing in 2 would be bad, because you'd get 0. Same thing, what would I have to sub in here to get a 0 out of this brackets? If you can't see, just try and do the work. X plus 5 cannot equal 0, and so how do we get this 5 to the other side? Subtract 5 both sides. Aha, of course, x cannot equal negative 5. Those are our two restrictions. Step 1, factor. Step 2, record your restrictions. Step 3, simplify. And in this case, we simplify by canceling out something from the numerator with something from the denominator as long as each numerator and denominator is being times together, which it is. So we can cancel out these x minus 2's, and we're left with x minus 3 over x plus 5. No need for brackets, but there is a need to state our restrictions. Even though they got canceled out, in fact, especially because they got canceled out, we have to tell the reader, right, but remember, x cannot equal negative 5 or 2. And so in both cases, question 1 and question 2, we've simplified rational expressions by factoring, recording the restrictions, simplifying, and stating the final answer with restrictions.